All right, we're live. We're live. Hi, I'm here with another Scholar Score live with the Gipson family. Simone Gipson is the second kid to in this family to go through college mode and go to college with scholarships and be able to go debt free, guys. So we're going to talk to Simone and her family about how this happened, answer some of those questions you may have in your head about how it can be done and how your team can do the same thing. There's a couple of preliminary things I'm going to do, and I'm going to ask the Gibson family to just quickly introduce themselves and tell what they like most about college mode. Well, I'll get to share it out to a couple places. So I don't know if Shika, you want to go first, or Jonathan or Simone, whoever wants to go first is perfectly fine.
I'll go first. So my favorite thing about college mode is that they help you win scholarships and help you get scholarships.
All right, mom, dad.
So my favorite thing about College Mode Academy is that it keeps the student on pace, and it kind of lifts that burden off of us as parents.
Okay. Yep, that's our goal. We're trying to do some of the heavy, a lot of the heavy lifting actually for you guys as parents. And then, dad, what about you?
My favorite thing about college mode is that it helps prepare the family, the student and the parents about applying for school and scholarships. Even if you're an educator, even if you're college educated, things have changed.
Yeah, things have certainly changed from when we went to school. I remember the FAFSA form was a brown. It almost looked like a Scantron form, and it was like 10 pages long back when we were in school. And I think we're in the like third digital iteration of the FAFSA at this point. That's just one example of how it's changed. Um, so there's a few things to highlight about Simone's story. Simone is a degree student already because she did the early college program, and so she has an associate's degree already. And when we were coming into this, she's the second, as I said before, she's the second one. Her brother Jonas came in before her. He did a little bit more. But honestly, I sat with this family. I think Simone may have been like we were talking about maybe the seventh grade. Jonas was just maybe going into the ninth grade. And then baby girl behind was still at, I think she's like sixth grade, but we didn't leave her out the conversation. We asked her questions too and got her involved. And here we are. They just said Bailey's in the 10th grade, and I'm just totally confused by that. But anyway, I'm saying all of that to say I asked before we hopped on here, like, do you remember anything from that conversation? And what did you remember from that conversation, Simone?
The one thing I remember from that conversation was to start early, like start thinking about the clubs that I want to be in and start getting my mind right for getting like great good grades in schools and start thinking about like the SAT and what colleges and what careers I want to pursue.
Absolutely. So the cool thing about that is she remembers that. Then her brother came through the program. He actually did a couple of supplemental programs before, like 1 week or summer type things, before he joined the whole senior program. And so I think between those iterations of him joining and seeing what he did, she was able to follow behind and be like, okay, I definitely have to do that. So we've been talking about test prep all week on the College Mode channels with my personal page, the group, and our main page. And I'm bringing that up because she didn't do all of her test prep with me, guys. She did probably 90% of her test prep out in the community between the school and Khan Academy. But she knew that it was something she had to do. I don't think her parents had to be pressed about it and push her hard about it because she saw what happened with Jonas coming before her. And we had the conversation, and she took ownership of this is something I'm going to have to do. And so she was able to do Khan Academy. Every kid isn't able to do that, but I wanted to highlight the fact that if a kid is able to get started early, those resources like Khan Academy, the school, because we talked before about that, um, the school resources. And again, you have to evaluate each one of these things. So, Simone, do you feel like what the school offered actually helped you?
Yes, I think it helped me a lot. I remember the session, they gave us these like big books that had like tips and like practice questions. And I remember going over that like a few days before the test and like the night before the test. And I think it helped me a lot.
Absolutely. So I'll defer this to the parents because I think Jonas had the same opportunity, but I don't think whatever they did was as helpful. I think we had a conversation around that. Do you guys remember that as parents with the first kid, the resources that were available at the school, were they helpful for him?
I'm not sure if it was available to him. Because you gotta keep in mind Simone was in the collegiate academy and he wasn't. And you know, sometimes with those top kids and those kids in those programs, they get things that the other students don't get.
That is a very good point. So let's say that and be real about it. That is something that I part of like when I started college mode and I said, how are we going to do this? I spent about 2 years doing consulting, free programs out in the community, just doing some one-on-one consulting sessions and different, because one thing after talking to a few educators and things in the space was I didn't want to duplicate what was already at the school, because what's the point? Why would I ask a parent to pay me for something I already have access to? But one of the things I quickly learned is that is a gap. When students aren't in the more high achieving programs like collegiate, IB, and taking a lot of AP classes and stuff like that, a lot of times the school doesn't offer them the same services. And the kid it could just be a choice of the kid can't handle that extra workload, but in terms of scoring on the actual test, they would probably do around the same. I've seen it happen a lot. And so just note that if your kid is not in a high performing or they're not high ranking, so the mid 50% of students, the kids that are in the 50 to 75%, like they're not in the top 25. And then that next percent, like kids at Booker T. Washington here in Dallas. I've had kids that are in that third quartile. In their performing arts, they don't, sometimes those kids at schools don't get the same services. So I just wanted to highlight that and make sure, while I am saying, okay, yes, if your kid is capable and can just use school services and those supplemental things out on the internet, but be aware every kid can't do that and every school does not have it available. Do not assume these things are all created equal in terms of what support is provided at the school. Sometimes they do it to check a box, and sometimes it's great, like what Simone experienced. Okay. All right. So we're gonna keep right moving because we started a little bit late. What was your biggest frustration before, Simone, before coming into the program? Why was it like, yeah, I gotta come? Because I remember talking to your dad a few times, like messaging back and forth about what was the best time to join. And you're an avid soccer player in high school, and we were trying to balance that against your soccer schedule. So what was your biggest frustration that you're like, yeah, I need to go ahead and join now? Because your parents were willing to put you in earlier, but we were waiting for you to give us the go ahead too.
So I wouldn't say it was my biggest frustration. It was more like my biggest worry, and it was getting enough scholarship money because I remember always hearing like, oh, this student got like $500,000 in scholarships, or they got $1 million, like a bunch of scholarship money. And I don't know why, but I didn't see that for myself. Like I just thought, oh, like that's impossible. Or like not impossible, but I was just worried that I wasn't gonna get like enough scholarship money.
Okay. So you're at the point where you're like, if I don't get in now, I could miss the boat. Like soccer is not gonna be worth it at this point. And I'm saying that because a lot of parents will talk to me about a kid being in an activity and they're like, they don't want to like bump against basketball, AAU, and that. But if you start early, she started feeling the pressure. And the timing was still good. Sheikah and Jonathan, you have anything to add to that about the timing that she started the program and what your frustration may have been at that time where you wanted to go like, yeah, we need to jump in with her?
Just the same thing, just balancing out her schedule with soccer, with club soccer and the high school, and also try to make sure that she wasn't overburdened.
Yeah, very important. So I'll say this, and I just want to reiterate it. she had a sibling that went before, so the parents were clear on the timing, pretty much of what needed to happen. They knew how far they could kind of let her get away with not being in the program versus okay, we can let her keep going for a little bit. The other decision we made was she didn't do the full year-round program with me because she said I'm a buckle down this summer, ride it out, go hard in the summertime, and get back to soccer during the fall of my senior year. And that's what she did. Like she handled business when she needed support. She came back into the meetings during the fall. And she messaged and did what she needed to do and use the support at CollegeMode the way she needed it. And that's important to know because we do have 2 senior programs. Some people ask, sometimes I won't let a kid join the program with the lesser support because I don't think the kid can handle it and they're going to need more support. But we had talked and had conversations, and Simone had joined other things. I think you may have done, when you say you think you did test prep, I think you may have done one of those challenges because we did a couple test prep challenges. So having that connection beforehand and understanding what they're getting into is important for that buy-in. Let's see here. I don't think you have any. So how did being a part of the CollegeMode summer, because you did the blueprint program, how did being a part of that solve that problem of not being able to get enough scholarship money or feeling like you won't be able to get enough scholarship money?
So I remember we had to fill out like a spreadsheet of like all the scholarships, and that was really helpful as well. I also liked how I had a head start because while my peers were stressing and struggling with like writing essays, I already had like 3 or 4 of them. So the applying to colleges was much easier.
Okay. And along that, I was going to add, you mentioned scholarships. So one of the things I remember is talking to you about the choice of colleges. And I think you almost like, you're going to Texas A&M College Station, which is my cousin's on the Hall of Fame there. So it's one of the family favorites. But I remember you thinking you might not, because your major was so competitive that you didn't know how that was going to go. And should I apply to some of these other programs? So you also had some concerns about which colleges to apply to. How was the summer program and Blueprint helpful with that?
We did a lot of college research, and it really helped me find which colleges that I felt like I would fit into and which ones I didn't. And I came up with a really diverse list, and it was a really great list.
Yeah, what was the second runner-up besides Texas A&M? Because I think at some point I thought that college was going to be the college, and then Texas A&M came in with the full offer, and you guys were like, "That's it, it's covered."
I think Texas A&M has always been #1, but I was also really considering OU. They had a Black Experience weekend. They brought down people who applied who were Black, and they brought us down, and we got to see like the Black culture on OU's campus, and that was really neat. So that jumped up to like the #2 spot, right in front of UT Austin.
Okay, UT Austin. I think I was thinking UT Austin. So yeah, that just so you guys, so those experiences and keep going. So it wasn't like, oh, I filled out my college apps, I'm not checking which one should be first, second, or third. She was still working on her ranking, which is perfectly fine. Sometimes people like, I can't get the ranking right, so I'm going to wait on the applications. You should not do that. If it's on your radar, apply. You can deal with the ranking stuff and find ways to explore and really make a decision about ranking later. All right. What result from the program are you most excited about? What is it you've accomplished by being a part of CollegeMode Academy in this past year, your senior year, that you're most excited about?
I got into my dream college on a full ride.
I remember getting that message. I was like, go Simone. So it's so funny. Like I'm at home or dancing in the car looking at messages, and the families never see that part of the process. But in our app, like kids are like texting me, I want a scholarship, I got this. And I was like, so she's like, no. I talked to my parents, I got the full ride, I'm going to A&M. We're messaging back and forth. So I'm super excited about that. Go ahead, mom and dad. What about you guys? What are you most excited about?
And not only just the full ride, she's gonna get money back.
She's getting a refund check. She already done set her refund check up. Quiet as it's kept. I was like, you got money in your pocket? She was like, I don't know. But I have in this program, we do talk about that because depending on which student alumni that they were kind of following and they found most helpful during the summer program, sometimes they'll follow up with somebody specifically because they had refunds. And I don't know if you remember if there was somebody specific that you were like, yeah, I want to be like that person. Simone, was there somebody like that that came in and spoke to you guys last summer that you were like, I want results like that, I want to be like them?
I don't remember anyone specifically, but I remember a lot of them had a lot of scholarship money and had some left over.
Okay. So a lot of times they'll be like, oh, I want to make sure I have some money left over, like these people, and they'll go after that. So that's really helpful for the parents in terms of Cash App and Zelle requests. And so keeping in mind that living expenses are part of the college experience. So what you pay to the college is tuition, room and board, but books, food, because just let's keep it real. Nobody's going to eat in the cafeteria 100% of the time, right? Even it could just be because you're out doing activities. Like I had a kid that was on a choir scholarship. Well, they were on the road all the time. The scholarship didn't include the cost of eating and things while you're on the road. So just keep in mind as you're setting goals around how much you need to pay for college, those living expenses while at college are also part of the deal. And so, yes, Simone has set herself up to be able to probably, I think favorite thing, Simone, that we haven't talked about because you haven't you were doing soccer in the fall when some of those conversations happen, is Ubering to get your groceries. Like some people will walk and Uber back, and the people with more money will Uber there and back. And Instacart and things like that, like convenience things. And whether you have to get an on-campus job, and some people will still do a work study because they want to make the connection in certain offices at their school. So those are all things to think about when you have refund money. You get to decide, you get to have options. I think to me, that's one of the coolest things about being a young person and having all these options. Is there something else you feel like people that are considering college mode as an option for college prep, test prep, scholarship help, all the things you do? Is there anything else you would say they should know about how this all came about and how you won your scholarship, how you got into your scholarships? That she got that, plus she has the outside money. About how all this evolved and happened. Is there something else you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, so on some college applications, they have a section specifically for scholarships. Always fill out that part. There are some kids who skipped it, and then in like the little group chat, they would say, is it too late to like go in and fill out the scholarship portion? Or they'll be like, I didn't fill out the scholarship portion, will I still get scholarship money and stuff like that. So be on the lookout for that. Also, there's a lot of local scholarships. Those are the ones to apply for. Those are also the most tedious ones because you have to have like multiple recommendation letters and like transcripts and then photo and like a picture of you, like a headshot. And sometimes there's an interview process. Those can take up a lot of time, but they're always worth it. Like those are the scholarships that I've won.
Absolutely. So I hope y'all heard that. She said that, not me, because I be telling y'all this stuff on Facebook. But she said it, not me. Every college application is a scholarship application. Some colleges like LSU don't put anything extra there. A lot of other colleges, like Simone just said, do. And students are like, I just need to get my application in. The rest, we literally went back to the alumni because when Jonas did it, we didn't do 5 weeks. And there was a window of time where if they didn't do, I think I'm frozen. Okay. There's a window of time where I had to really push we were in the pandemic, so luckily we had some more time to pull and push those kids because they couldn't really go outside like that. But that was different. And so we went back and revamped to this 5 week, 3 day a week, 5 week, 3 day a week model based on what the alumni said. Like, to be honest, this is what I would have needed. Not to get into that tailspin that some of them got into. So make sure you pay attention to all those things and start early, just like Simone did. All right. And then what are people missing? Wait, I'm sorry. Two last questions. Who should join this program? Who do you feel like would be a good fit and who should not join? And I want to hear from all three of you guys on that.
I think that everyone should join, no matter like your socioeconomic background or your race or your gender or what school you go to or what part of the US you live in. Everybody should join College Mode Academy because it just has so many benefits.
And I'll say the same thing as Simone, that everyone should join, no matter your background. Whether your kid knows they're going to school and what school they're going to, or even the kid that wants to go to school and doesn't know where they're going, the parents who have saved for college and the parents who haven't saved for college, this is a good program for all those students. Because I've heard you say it before, which is true, and I see other parents going through it where it's March, April, and their kids still hasn't decided where they're going, and the parents have no clue how they're going to fund college.
Okay. And I stepped away, so I didn't hear the whole thing. I'm being transparent. My computer threatened to shut down on us, so I had to run. Well, got it. And then Sheikah, what about you? What would you say?
So I wouldn't say, for me, the question isn't like if somebody should join or not join. So to me, it's like finding the balance and getting in as quickly as you can, because I get a lot of questions, like especially with Simone right now, and people who also know that Jonas went through the program, like, so tell me more about it. And I can't. I said, well, I can describe like this part, because what College Mode does is so all encompassing and basically indescribable. It's hard to articulate how y'all put your arms around the kids and you carry them to a point where they can stand up and walk on their own in this process that's very foreign and unfamiliar. So with that, I say, when we met at Panera and you took the time to talk to Jonas and understand kind of what his interests were, and then like a computer program, you just went in your brain and you came out with, I think you would be good at this based on what you said. And these are the kinds of experiences you need to start lining up so that you're able to have something to talk about in your essay and in your interviews, so that you're able to do what you want to do. And I was like, wow, because I'm going to be honest, when Jonathan first started talking to me about your program for Jonas, I was like, now what? I'm not quite sure. So that's how we ended up at Panera, because I just had some questions. And I would say within minutes of meeting you, I was very, my guard came down and I was like, okay, she's legitimate. And this program sounds like something that's amazing. And I wish every kid had an opportunity to experience.
Well, thank you so much for that. I didn't know that background story because Jonathan and I went to school many, many moons ago. I ain't gonna age us. And then a mutual friend that went to the same college as them, like she was sharing out college and stuff, and we kind of reconnected that way. But thank you so much for that. I think that's important to note. It's not that I don't want to tell y'all how college runs, because sometimes you all are asking, like on paper, what's going to make sense in a sense. Like, here's the boxes we check off with your kid. How to describe the socio emotional and the bonding and some of that other stuff that happens is hard because every class has something different. Jonas and his group were going through the pandemic. We met on Mondays and Thursdays during the pandemic and got them through. We held homeschool for a few weeks until the schools got their stuff together. Simone was a different kid. She didn't need the same support as him, and coming through as a group, her class of 2023 didn't need the same things as the class of 2021. And so we are student focused and student centered. Because of that, some of the things you're trying to ask, even you don't know your child needs it while you're talking about. We see things in real time as they're happening. And so like the SAT is changing next spring. And so that'll be another shift that'll happen. The program will shift with that shift that's happening in the industry. So thank you for saying that, because sometimes I'm like I think they think I'm trying to hide something, but it's not. Like it's a thing. Like we're doing these things and then meeting the student needs as we go along. That's the only way I can describe it. So thank you for sharing that, because it helps me. But you said some stuff I think will absolutely help people. And then what do you feel like if they don't join college mode, what would they be missing out on? What do you feel like students and parents would be missing out
They would be missing out on amazing opportunities and chances to get ahead.
on? Okay.
Yeah, and the same thing Simone said, the chance to get ahead. Because I've seen her friends who are honor students, AP students, and they struggle applying for colleges where they had to write the essays and struggle with that when her essays were already done, or getting the letters of recommendation at the time that they needed for school and scholarships when she already had that done, through your program.
Okay. And I want to ask you this because of your role at the school, because I think you've had some role in Avid, a little bit in test coordinating. From the school schedule, because the parents sometimes don't understand what I'm saying when I'm like, the school is on one schedule. They can't help if the school doesn't open to August. There's certain things they can't do till September, October, because they just got to get the school open. And Shika's an administrator at school. If you were speaking from that perspective, what obstacles do you see college mode able to overcome because of the way we come in with our time and versus what you're able to do? Because it's not the school doesn't want to do a lot of stuff. Sometimes they just can't. So is there something you have in your mind that you're like, you know what, college mode is able to do this and the school just can't do it because of the way the school runs?
Well, the with the testing, most schools they'll test the kids with ACT, PSAT, and SAT on certain dates and certain grade levels. And it's important for the students to take advantage of that. But more important is they need some test prep before that. Most of the schools don't provide test prep. This is up to the students. So they might find out the week before that they're going to have the test. And I understand why. And I understand why there isn't a test prep, but the program, your program, it gives an opportunity to get ahead of that and see the importance of it.
Okay. And that 1 week notice, so you guys know, first of all, they got to finalize a list of who actually showed up at school. So we're talking about the August SAT, and even the PSAT, they don't purge rolls until I think it's like when I was teaching, it's like 6 weeks after school starts. Like you give them 5 or 6 weeks before you know who's actually gonna like be at that school year. And so I don't know who's testing and how that's gonna go. And then I got to get logistics together about how many teachers I actually have in the building, who can proctor and not proctor. Like there's just real logistic stuff happening, guys. Um,
And it's more to it also than that. Because you got to keep in mind that we're doing school business and there's a lot more going on in the school besides just that test. So like even though we might test ACT, well, PSAT or ACT in September and October, school just started. So kids are registering and getting their schedules, and then you have leveling, and it's a lot of school business that goes on. And it catches up even to the school where, oh, that's right, we need to start getting ready for this test. Education can be very, especially secondary, is very fast paced, and it's really a lot too much going on.
It is. I mean, it is. I worked in school, and I forgot the leveling of the classes. I literally, my first 2 weeks as a teacher, I never gave real assignments assignments out of the textbook because I never knew how, like, I kept the assignments the same and review and everything because I don't know if that kid is staying with me the school year. And then I have to transfer those grades to another teacher if they are not. And being where I was in Miami and Dallas can be very transient too because we're close, we're a bordering state with Mexico. Just whole, I don't think realize administration is consumed with these other things. And then you have to test some of these kids that are coming in that are ESL and pulling records and all kinds of things. So just know it's not that the capacity of the school is what it is. And so it just happens that testing, unfortunately, cannot be a high priority when you're trying to make sure kids are in the right classes and are enrolled and have the supplies and the materials and things they need. And the teachers do too. What about you, Shika? On that
Yeah, so
topic?
I think where you are different and college mode is different, especially coming from our experience at Duncanville, which is a very large high school, even though she was in the collegiate program, which is much smaller, they still don't know your kid because they go away to the college for classes. And so there's more than a few times when a student might fall through the gap, but there's no gap in college mode. Like the personal touch that you all provide, not to say that Simone needed this or Jonas needed this, but from time to time, kids do need a text message to a parent to say, hey, we were waiting on them to submit X, Y, and Z. Can you all follow up? So to me, that was very important as well, because we trust our kids and we trust you all to make it happen. But I love the partnership when things don't go according to plan, that y'all follow up with us and give us an opportunity to get back on track. Sometimes we'll get all the way through to graduation and find out, oh, well, they needed CPR training and they didn't take it. So now they're not graduating unless you shift all your plans and show up on Tuesday at 3. And I'm like, okay, I wish I'd known that before now. That's something we could have taken care of.
That's a really good point. Thanks for bringing that up, Shika. We had a kid, not this year, but last year. She was in a collegiate program, doing her thing. And because of the checks and stuff we do here at college mode, we checking everything. And we found out that she had an English class that she needed to get her associate's degree. Like she wouldn't have graduated. And unfortunately for her, she had to take this English class over Christmas break. But because we caught it early enough, had we not caught it at that point, the only option would have been summer school. And so she would not have gotten her degree with everybody else, even though she was the valedictorian actually at that school. So thank you for pointing that out. You guys have been great. Is there anything else you want to add before we hop off? Anything else you want to share?
Yes. So there was a question that you had sent us. Did we have any objections or any hesitations before joining what changed our mind? And at first we were thinking about the money aspect, the fee for college mode, which it really isn't that much. And it's when you compare it to the costs of college, even the cost out of pocket that you might end up having to pay, even if they get scholarships or grants, it is really a drop in the bucket, and it's an investment in their future, and also an investment in financing their education.
Thank you so much for saying that. It's kind of like the preacher saying, pay your tithes. I don't really say it because people like, oh, she's going to say that. But thank you so much for saying that. Other thing I would ask, since you brought that up, and that could be a point of clarification for people. I try to keep the pricing at college mode where second generation family. So I'm not sure if you were first generation college, but most of us coming out that are in the area, we were first gen. And so I don't want that second and third generation to fall off and not be able to go to college because of money, or to be so in debt that they do go to college, but the family does not experience any upward mobility socioeconomically because of the loan payments that have to be made after they do make it. So what is it? Is there anything you feel like your family can do while your kids are in college or do for your younger kids that you, because I remember at one point with Jonas, I was like, now listen, you got Simone and Bailey coming behind him. Jonas gonna have to do X, Y, and Z. And y'all were like, okay. Because you all were like, yeah, he got money and we'll be good. And I was like, wait, we got two more kids coming. He gonna have to do a little more. Uh, and so, is there anything you feel like now that you've gotten Simone at this point too? You're like, our family can definitely do these things that maybe we would not have had the financial capacity to do because now we don't have to worry about that.
Yes. Well, we're gonna have two college students at the same time. And we're paying a little bit for Jonas and nothing for Simone. So to be in that situation is really good for us. We can travel more. We can travel to see them. I already told Simone that I want to come visit and see. I want to experience a big college football game, and I want to see A&M play Alabama. And so I don't have
Well,
to
let me
worry
know if
about.
I'm available. I'll hit now. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Well, getting back active, like in my Masonic Lodge and my fraternity grad chapter, and being able to pay those dues and travel to conventions, and the same thing for Sheikah. She's thinking about the things that with that money freed up that we can do and travel and do.
Yeah, I love that. She could. Anything else you would add to that?
I would just go back a little bit and say that, price is what you pay, but value is what you get. And I would gladly pay the price for CollegeMode because what we get in exchange, even just the experience, right? So if we say she went through the program and she didn't win any scholarships, but what she's learned and what Jonas has learned, and let me just give you an example. You told Jonas, go to school and join clubs and get involved in activities. And he took that to heart. I mean, he went to orientation, he came back, he's like, I'm going to be a freshman council member. And like he had 3 or 4 clubs that he already had in his mind he was going to join. And now Simone, I hate to compare, but I think she might be just a little bit less outgoing or a little bit more introverted. She's like, I'm going to join this club and this club and this club. So just from your influence, right, with her brother, he set the example. And now she's looking at that and she's like, oh, yeah, I think it would be pretty cool to join a club or to get involved as opposed to opting out of those experiences.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that as well. So that is important because a lot of kids go to college and like their first year, I mean, you hear people have amazing experience, but equally, there's a lot of kids that go out to college and that freshman year is horrible for them because they didn't know what to expect, they didn't know what to do, and all of those things. And so, College Mode does provide advice and advising in that respect. And I like the thing that you said about traveling because like I'm looking on my timelines of my alumni kids, the parents and stuff are posting and updating. So many people have passports now. And the whole family is going. It's not just mom and dad, because it may have just been mom and dad need to get away for an anniversary trip or, whatever, a break. Is maybe what they could have done before. But now that they have that extra capacity and they don't have to put it into college expenses, the whole family can go make those memories together. And then the other thing is retiring on time. Retiring on time. Look, she's like, yes, retiring on time and being able to put that money into other investments. Because I've seen families even buy rental homes and things like that when the kid is out of state. So those are all other things for you guys to think about when you're thinking about objections. Could be money. And I'm so glad you brought that up, Jonathan. It has been so great to have you all here. But because I've grown with this family, you guys saw me start posting future college mode scholars. this has been a family where everybody was a future College Mode scholar, and we're on the second kid now. So that is a beautiful journey. I love watching people's stories, watching them grow. And so I've been able to watch. Chica has a business now. I'm gonna plug a little. It's been wonderful to watch you guys grow as a family and individually in this process. So, of course, always reach out if you're thinking about joining College Mode. They told you all the reasons why you should. They told you the journey, what happens when you have multiple kids, all of those things. You can text us at 844-928-3780 and text us Simone. I'm gonna use Simone's name as a word. So Simone. Text Simone if you're interested in signing your kid up. You want them to have extra money. Simone could be the alumni that they look at and say, I want to follow behind. Or Jonas is an athlete. That's one thing we didn't mention. But Jonas is an athlete, and we went through partially the recruiting process with him and the academic scholarship process. So his scholarship money is all academic that he got originally with us. So keep that in mind. Again, text 844-928-3780. You can text Simone, and we will talk about how we can get your kids started. And everybody have a happy Saturday. Any parting words from the Gipson family?
Just thank you for all that you do to support families.
You're so welcome. All right, with that, we're gonna hop off. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed.